Hi guys, my name is Nonima Tigela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about Section 205. We are still talking about how Ramasipile destroyed the state case, especially Bongani Ndanzi's so-called confessions that Baloyi tried to deal with over plus minus 10 weeks. And Ramasipile used only 2.5 hours to rebut everything and showed Ramasipile showed Baloyi the middle finger in a span of 2.5 hours. Imagine that. Imagine that, Kesana, for you to work and sweat all week for 10 weeks and have a high school dropout exposing you, leaving you shredded into pieces, and also leaving you into faded pictures, leaving you into something of discussion in the corridors of your workplace, leaving you being something that has broke the record in the legal fraternity, in the history of legal fraternity. Imagine what Ndanzi did. Ndanzi destroyed Baloyi's career. I don't care who comes from where, says what. I don't care who comes from where and says what. Baloyi was destroyed by Ndanzikla witness box. Umgcinepa for 10 weeks for what? And he came out with nothing. With nothing, Kesan. Oh, Danzi, my guy. Danzisto. Ha, Sana. Now let's talk about the Section 205 Kengoku because my goodness. OMG, OMG. All right. Let me frame all of this as a courtroom or legal explanation. What Section 205 is supposed to prove, why absent connections matter, and how recross examination can turn a phone number dispute into a movement or identity problem, because Ramasipile was not here to play, Madam Zozo was not here to play. So Section 205 matters because it is not just phone records. It is legal doorway the state uses to force banks, cell phone companies, or institutions to hand over information relevant to an alleged offense. In South Africa, Criminal Procedure Act, Section 205 allows a judicial officer to compel a person or entity with material information to appear or provide that information for an investigation. So for recross examination, the legal point is this. If the state says a person moved in 2014 using a phone number, the defense must ask whose number was it in 2014? Because movement evidence only helps if the state proves the chain. Number, subscriber, KYC, user, device or SIM, tower location, relevant date, accused. That is what this number was supposed to do that we'll be talking about. So if one link breaks, the movement becomes dangerous speculation. The absent connections matter because the witness is saying the real bank linked contact number from 2014 allegedly showed something that did not fit the state version, that the person was not in the place alleged or was incarcerated, whatever may be. But so instead, the state allegedly relied on a 2018 number and presented it as if it was explained 2014 move. It explained 2014 movements. That is a major identity and timeline problem. Now, a clean re-exam uses an angle, Kesan, a legal angle. One, Section 205 is supposed to verify, not to decorate the state's theory. If the state wants to use the Section 205, they better use it. It must establish reliable records, bank KYC, number of records, subscriber details, call data, tower data, tower data, and dates. Secondly, movement evidence is only useful if the number is proved to belong to the person at the relevant time. A 2018 number cannot automatically prove 2014 movement unless the state proves continuity. Thirdly, absent connections can support an alibi or destroy presence. If there are no calls, no tower hits, no bank activity, or the correct number places the person elsewhere, that weakens the allegation of movement. Fourthly, the defense should expose substitution. The legal question is, did investigators use the number that matched the evidence or the number that helped the theory? What's going on here? Fifth, if the wrong number was used, the court cannot safely rely on the movement version because then the state is not proving where the accused was. It is proving where an unverified number was. The punchline for legal sense, Section 205 is powerful because it can place a person in a timeline. But if the state cannot prove that the number belonged to that person in 2014, then the movement evidence does not move the case forward. It moves the doubt forward. Now, after I gave you all that information, let's look into this Ntanzi situation. This is where cross-examination becomes sharp and dangerous because you are no longer just questioning data at this point. You are questioning why certain data was avoided. So now let's break it down cleanly so it lands in court properly or how it was supposed to land. Now, this is what Ramsipilé had to do and did. Okay? One, what the Capitec number presents legally. When a number appears on a Capitec statement, it's not random. It is tied to FICA, KYC records, who opened the account, number of record used, OTPs, alerts, and banking access, a traceable identity link at a specific time. So if the state got that number through a Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act process, that number is gold standard linkage evidence. It answers which number was actually associated with this person at the time. Now, Untanzi Uti, Lana Capitec, they changed the number. I don't know who did that because I never gave such authority. Now, from 060, they put 060 instead of that MTN number that I used in 2014, which they found on the statements of Capitec. Now they are changing and saying my Capitec account has this 06 number. No, I had a 073 or 078, I don't remember, but it was an MTN number where Untanzi used at Capitec. And this 606, sorry, this is 060 was not part of Capitec account contact number listing. So Untanzi now, he's showing us lana. Okay, now, why not? The second point is why not bringing that number becomes suspicious. If they had the Capitec linked number but didn't bring it to court, there are only few realistic legal explanations. Firstly, it contradicted their case. The number may have shown the person was not in the alleged location. The person was inactive or unreachable or even in custody, but when it comes to Ntanzi, he was at home or at work. This directly kills movement evidence. Secondly, it didn't link to the accused. The Capitec number may have belonged to someone else, a different SIM holder, or was never proven to be used by the accused. That breaks the chain number not belonging to the accused. Point number, okay, thirdly, it created a timeline problem. If the Capitec number was active in 2014, but the state relies on a 28 MTN Vodacom number, actually, then the question becomes, where is the continuity between 2014 and 2018? If they can't prove that link, the entire movement theory becomes, we couldn't prove 2014, so we used 2018. That's legally weak. Fourthly, investigative convenience, dangerous in court. Sometimes investigators follow the number that produces usable data, ignore the number that complicates the theory. But in court, that becomes selective investigation, and selective investigation is equal to reduced credibility. Now, do you see why they did not want to use that really Bongani Ntanzi number? Do you see why? Point number 3, why switching to an MTN number matters. If the state used a different MTN number instead of the Capitec link one, the defense must ask who registered that MTN number. When was it activated? Was it even in existence in 2014? How is it linked to the IQs in 2014? Because without that, the state is not proving movements, it is proving number movement. Now, when it comes to this situation, Ubangani says, for 2014, Uyocho sometime in 2018, he was using the number that was registered, the MTN number that was registered at Capitec Bank, which the state did not bring. But somehow it managed to make its way inside the courtroom through the state. Now they wanted to use the 060 number that Ntanzi got in 2018 when his 2014 phone and number was stolen. He could not do eSIM swap. I don't know why. So now he brought a new phone, new number. Now they are using that number as if he used it for 2014, and he's like, Bova, that was not the number that I used. And you need to explain, how did you change that number that I had in 2014? We account Jamka Capitec, because I've never changed it. What do you mean? Now, point number 4 in this situation, like Ntanzi, guys, Ntanzi is doing the most here. How this strengthens the cross-examination or the re-exam of Bongani Ntanzi with Ramsipele. Now, this is their weapon. The cross-examination re-exam should drive one core theme. Bongani Ntanzi had a number that was registered at Capitec Bank back in 2014, but eState chose not to use that number. Then they broke down step by step that Ubongani eState received a number via section 205. That number is linked to the account holder, the Capitec. They did not bring that number to court. They instead relied on a number which is different from the one that he used with Capitec Bank. They used a number that he used for Standard Bank account for 2018. That number is from a later period, which is 2018. Now, they cannot prove that number was used by the accused in 2014. Then the conclusion becomes unavoidable. So if the movement evidence from the state is not based on verified banking number, but on substituted numbers, they cannot place Ntanzi for 2014. That's a credibility collapse moment for the state. Point number 5, the legal impact where the judge must consider. This affects reliability. If key data is omitted, court questions integrity of investigation. Weight of evidence also. Even if admitted, it carries low probative value. Reasonable doubt is born. If the correct number creates a different picture, doubt is created in that situation. Now, the state had a real number, the one tied to Capitec Bank, tied to identity of Ntanzi, tied to the real truth, but that number didn't support their case. So instead of following the evidence regarding that number, they followed a different number that he used in 2018 and made it look like it was used back in 2014. That's not just a gap, that's a choice. And in court, choices like that matter. Why would you do that to Bongani Ntanzi? That's the question now that the state must answer. That is the state's question, the case now the state must answer. Because Section 205 Procedure Act is not about collecting data, it's about authenticating identity through records. So if they are going to use the records incorrectly, well, because now it's not making sure now. You can't be doing that. The real 2014 number linked to Capitec is already showing a lot of things that the state does not want to be shown. They don't want them to be shown. Now, if the state is relying on his number of 2018, why are they doing that? Now, we add the why, because that's what cross-examination is hunting when it comes to why are you doing those things. Now, possible reasons the state did not use the Capitec number: it destroyed their movement theory. It did not link to the core IQ. No, it did link to Ntanzi, but not the way they wanted. It created a fatal timeline gap, and they did not like that at all. So now, also they use selective investigation, and it's very dangerous what they did there. Very, very dangerous. And now what you see happens here is that MTN number was easier to build a story around, but we were not going to use that number. So I love what uRamsipile did there. So the number, then Untanzi no Ramsipile made sure the number that is verified by the bank was not used, but the number they cannot place for 2014 was relied on. They made sure to put that on record successfully and expose the state case once again. That investigation now is exposed. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? Because if they brought that number into the entire situation, it was going to show Undanzi in 2014, where was he? Mm-hmm.